Whenever it's time for an event where Hollywood elites pat themselves on the back, usually there's drama with actors or producers because they feel like they deserve to win more than their competition, or we find out that the show's viewership has dropped because people are sick and tired of watching events where the content they actually like doesn't win any awards. And that exact situation happened with the Golden Globes because it sunk to its lowest viewership ratings ever. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So I wanted to start with this Deadline article. It says 2023 Golden Globe ceremony sinks to lowest ratings ever on NBC. It says the Golden Globes return to broadcast television this year, not with a bang, but with a whimper. The Tuesday night telecast of the 80th annual ceremony brought in just 6.3 million people, according to Nielsen data. Now, of course, talking about 6.3 million people watching, a broadcast, that's still a large number, but it really isn't for them. As it says, it marks the lowest audience ever for the Golden Globe ceremony, which had already plummeted to just 6.9 million in 2021. That was barely a third of the size of 2020's 18.3 million, and last year's ceremony wasn't televised following revelations about a lack of diversity and allegations of impropriety within the HFPA, the organization awarding the Globe. So yes, as it says, last year they didn't do a ceremony because they were accused of a lack of diversity and allegations of impropriety, so they decided to skip it for a year because they were trying to reevaluate everything. They wanted to change the, celebration, the ceremony altogether, and they thought that by doing that, by taking a year off and basically dedicating themselves to inclusivity and diversity, that this year they would return and the numbers would be giant. People would be so proud of them for, doing the right thing and changing the way that the show works. And well, it doesn't seem to have paid off for them because it's their lowest viewership ever, which is just freaking hilarious. I say this all the time, but inclusivity and diversity are great things. But the problem is that I don't want to hear about every single company and behind the scenes trying to change their ways because they used to be toxic and not inclusive. I get it. Companies change, companies evolve. And if this company, and this group of people felt like they had to do that, okay, but they marketed it that way. Like, oh, we're trying to get back on track and be better. That's not a good marketing ploy anymore. I see that marketing and it doesn't make me any more interested in the product or the, content you're trying to give to me. And they thought it would work this year, and it didn't. And of course, as it says, in 2021, their viewership had already plummeted to a third of the size of 2020's. It went from 18.3 million down to 6.9 million. So they were already struggling, but, well, now they're struggling even more. It says, so add in the fact that the show was held on a Tuesday, and it makes sense that the viewership would decline even more, and it didn't even perform in the advertiser-targeted 18 to 49 demographic either. With a 1.1 rating, it was quite a bit lower than 2021's 1.5 rating. So yes, the ratings have gone down. They didn't hit their targeted demographic. The viewership numbers were awful, and they ultimately did decide to hold it on a Tuesday, which is kind of odd. You'd think that they'd hold it on like a Friday or over the weekend, but they didn't decide to do that. But I don't really think that it would have saved their numbers. I don't think they would have ever gotten back up to the 18 million that 2020's had by any means. It says, though, the only time anything related to the Globes did worse was in 2008 during the writer's strike, when they basically just held a press conference in lieu of a ceremony, and that got 6 million viewers. So hilariously enough, they barely got past even those numbers. It also says even on a weeknight, NBC had competition. It did manage to win primetime and average total viewers, but not by much. CBS came in close second with an average 6.1 million people watching its FBI trilogy. Of course, CBS and NBC were only competing for the primetime spot on the East Coast, since the Globes aired coast to coast and CBS's scripted lineup did not. Now, I will say the one show I wanted to win did, which was House of the Dragon, but we've all been pretty upset over the House of the Dragon situation because a lot of amazing actors and their performances were overlooked this year, like Paddy Considine. He, of course, played King Viserys. He was overlooked and he deserved literally every single award that he could have won, but I am happy that House of the Dragon did win. That was good, but I wasn't going to watch a whole ceremony just for the one series that I cared about. I just watched clips on Twitter and just social media in general, and that's the problem with these shows, is that they clip it and put it up on YouTube the next day, and people clip it and put it up. I'm just going to watch a clip instead of watch a multi-hour event where I don't care about anything else. But lately, I've had to talk about the struggles Hollywood has been facing. My other video on this topic will be linked down below. But yeah, the state of Hollywood is not good right now. Hollywood lost more than $500 billion in market value in 2022, but also the box office audiences shrank by half in the last 4 years. And when we're talking about events and ceremonies where you're celebrating movies, TV shows, and entertainment in general, those audiences are also seemingly going down. So it just kind of seems like everything is tying into each other. People are, giving up on a lot of the content that is releasing right now by these giant companies, and people are going to other hobbies and maybe, spending a little bit more time in those areas. In my other video, I talked about how the video game industry is growing. Manga and anime are growing, all these different things that are, very similar. And of course, there is that overlap where I, of course, watch movies, TV shows, I play video games, I, consume anime and manga. But for me, I personally have, shifted a lot of my focus to those other industries, and obviously a lot of people are as well. But as you can see, the Golden Globe ceremony sunk to its lowest ratings ever on NBC, just spelling more doom for the entertainment industry in general. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it and found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.